Hey guys, how's it going? We are back and we are doing the Max Bearded Dragon Laybox video that I've been talking about recently. I know I already have one that I already did. Check the top right hand corner for that video. But I'm going to be doing it again, pretty much almost the same with a couple tweaks. So it's going to be a similar video, but kind of lessons I learned from the first time around. And also some ideas I was thinking about, how I kind of got to this point and stuff like that. So we'll get to it. I'll put all the sand and what I'm doing for the laybox in there so you guys can see how to put one together yourselves. Like I said, I did that in the last video, but there's a couple lessons I might have learned that might be of interest to you guys. So let's get to it. But first, make sure you check that lower right-hand corner, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell so you're notified with more updates when I post them. Alright guys, let's get to this. Alright, hopefully you guys can see this, but I just picked up an 18-gallon sort of container from Target. Nothing too special. I know from those of you who have been keeping track of this video coming up, I was talking about doing sort of a lay box that would be separate from the enclosure, and I initially wanted to do that just to have a contained area and make her more comfortable. But the idea of taking her in and out if she's not ready to lay eggs right away kind of seems stressful to me in terms of how she would react. So I thought, you know, I have a big enough enclosure. Maybe I just didn't execute it well enough the first time I did it in terms of the last container I had was not really tall enough to reach the second level so she could get into it easily, or from the first level to sort of get into it. Basically, it wasn't accessible for her. It was rather difficult. This one, and if you know my beardy enclosure, has 2 levels, and you'll see that at the end of the video. This one gets right up to the second level, maybe an inch over, maybe if that. So she could easily get into this. So I think the best bet for my setup would be to put one that put a lay box that I can put inside the enclosure. It's just I have to execute it better. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing it with this container right here. Sorry, I'm a little winded. I had to grab all these play sand things from the car, but anyway. I'm mostly going to focus on doing play sand. Now, you obviously want to make the lay box pretty moist to some extent because you don't want it to collapse too easily. You want them to be able to dig into it and not just fall in on itself and stuff like that. So I am going to use some soil still. I don't know if I'm going to use as much as the first time. Maybe I probably will. But I'm going to use the soil to kind of help make it more solid and less collapsible, if you want to put it that way. So it's going to primarily be play sand, and I have the play sand over here. I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see it in a second. But there's going to be some soil mixed in to make it a little bit more structured. So let's go ahead and do that. I think I got a lot more play sand than I actually need. I'm going to rip this open. I'm going to just dump all the play sand in here. Ooh. There we go. So that probably did about like 1/4 of it, I think I would say. And then I'm just going to put it in there like that. I think it should be fine like that. And then I think I'm going to put some soil in next. For soil, I just got Scott's Organic Topsoil with sphagnum moss. Pretty cheap. Just make sure before you put this stuff in there that you don't see anything plastic and stuff in there. Sometimes they get in there. It's not too big of a deal, but if you see it, you'll probably want to remove it. So I'm going to do that. Put a little bit of dirt in. And then I'm going to mix it around. So I have 2 bags of the topsoil, but I don't think I'll need all of it. I actually think I have more play sand as well than I need, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I'll use it all eventually. So, there we go. Put a little bit more dirt in. And then just lay it in there like that. Alright. Next thing of play sand. Ooh. These play sand things are super heavy. I really need to get back to the gym. Alright. That's our second bag. I only think I'll need one more bag after this. Mix it together with what's in there. Then I'm going to put some more soil. Alright. Remember what you're aiming for is roughly 9 inches in depth of the substrate. That's usually what's recommended. You could probably maybe go an inch or two less. But I would aim for about 9 inches of vertical space. So mix that up. And I think this height-wise, let me double check before I say it, is 16.5 inches tall. Roughly about that. So I might not even put any more in here. Let me think about it. I think this might be good. I might just put... Well, actually, let me get a tape measure, and I'll measure how much air room is left here. And that'll tell me if I have enough coverage here. Because if she digs, I don't want her flying it all over the enclosure, you know what I mean? So let me go get that, and I'll meet you guys right back here in a minute. Alright, so let's measure this. Let's see how tall it is. Put it against here. Let me get some of that down. There is about 9 inches of airspace left. And I said it was, what, 16.5? Let me double check. The height, 16.5/8. So 16.5, I'll just say. Minus 9 is 7 inches, right? Yep, that's correct. So we want a couple more inches. I was going to add a couple more inches in anyway, because I don't want to deter her from a little bit of a jump. Now, she's jumped a lot, and she's not really scared of vertical space in terms of sort of jumping to a lower area or something. So I think she will be fine, but I want to make it as comfy as possible, especially with eggs. So let's make it a little easier for her to climb in here and climb out. Alright, so I'm probably not going to use all the sand. Alright. Let's see what we have to work with now. Alright, so that's sand there. Let's mix in a little bit of soil with this. Alright. Now let's mix it together. I hope you guys are enjoying my bald spot right now. It means I'm really comfortable with you guys, that I don't mind that being on camera. Alright. Alright. Let's see the height now. Now I gotta kind of smooth out the corners here, because they like to pile up a little bit more than in the middle and the corners. So now it's about 7 inches. That seems about good. 7, that's like 9 inches. So this seems about good. I'm gonna put a little bit more in. Just a little bit. Make a little less of a drop still. So I'm gonna do that real quick. There we go. And then this should be good. This should be enough. I'm going to put in a little bit more soil. She might not even need too much soil on top. It's more to keep the burrow formed as she goes down. But I'm going to do it anyway, just in case. Alright. Try not to spill that. Alright. I think this should be about good. Alright. Alright, I'm happy with this. I think she should be fine. Now really is to get this in her enclosure. It's a little heavy. Let me feel how heavy. Ooh, that's actually pretty darn heavy. As you guys might know, I have Tortellini, my Russian Tortoise, under Max's enclosure, and there's not too much, I don't know, structure under there to keep it held up. I don't think this will collapse anything or cause any problems, but I don't want too much weight. I think I should be fine, but that's one of my concerns. But let's move it in her enclosure now. I'll show you where I'm going to put it, and you'll see how it kind of meshes with the second level. From there, it's really just keeping it moist enough, spraying it down a little bit so the sand and the dirt stay somewhat moist, especially with the hotter temperatures in her enclosure. Just to make sure the burrows stay formed, you know, you don't want it to collapse or she's not going to lay, and it could cause some potential problems with that whole process. So let's move it in. You'll see me move it in and see what I'm talking about. All right, let's go. Okay, so like I said, you can see how there's 2 levels to her enclosure. Hers is the top one. You can see the second level kind of being there, the first level being there. And then down below, you can see Tortellini right there in his enclosure. That was kind of makeshift made afterwards. So there's not much structure to it. You can see right there, you see my finger at the bottom. There's a little piece of wood there that goes up, holds support in the middle, and then there's support on the outside just from the actual structure. But it's not really that supported. I'm going to try to put the lay box in the middle there, sort of on top of where that little piece of wood is, so it has not as much pressure as if it was somewhere else in the enclosure, but hopefully the weight won't be problematic. The last one I put in, which wasn't as tall but had roughly the same length and width dimensions, held pretty fine, so I think it should be good, but we'll see. So let's move it in, and then we'll talk about it some more. Alright, so it was a little heavy, but I got it in there. It's being held up fine. Like I said, down there you can see a little piece of wood in the middle. It's right above that. So it should take off some potential pressure on the lower part of this structure, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty big. You can see how much room it takes up in there. But she can get by in the back there, which is fine. And you can see how it kind of walks right onto the second level. It's a little bit higher, but pretty easy for her to get in. So she's over there under her hide, if you're wondering, but she should be able to hop in there fine and get out fine. No problem with that. But I think this should be a good solution. I'm kind of curious if it's a little too close to the UVB at some points, especially if she wanted to get tricky and go up on like here, which she probably won't, but something I'm considering. I think it should be fine if she's inside, because this is like 6-7 inches down into the thing. So I'm not worried about that. Overall, I think it should be fine, especially since it's temporary and will be moved out once she's kind of not gravid anymore and that whole process goes over. I'm going to put these up. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I think this will work out a lot better. Let me just switch sides here. A lot better than what I used before. If you want to see what I used before, let me move over here. This is what I used last year. And I didn't like it because it wasn't nearly as tall. I'm going to empty it out actually and use it as storage. This is what I used. Now, like I said, you want to aim for roughly 9 inches at least, probably. Maybe a few inches less would be fine, but I'd aim for 9 inches. This whole thing as it is, like up to that point right here, it's about like 9 inches. So it's kind of short, and that's especially problematic because she couldn't really find her way in there inside the enclosure. It was kind of halfway up to the second level. It's a little too far of a drop and not short enough to the bottom for her to get in from the first level. So that didn't work out too well. I think this should work out a lot better since it makes it easier to get into. So I'll let you guys know she uses it. I'm hoping she will. But that's sort of the lessons I learned from the last video. The only job really now is to keep it moist so a burrow can be formed in it. But overall, it should be pretty simple from here. I'll also make sure that there's no cracks or anything that form from the weight being on here, because I don't need any problems with Tortellini because of this. That could be potentially hazardous. So anyway, guys, that's about it. I hope this was helpful, and this kind of gave a good follow-up to the first laybox video I recorded. So let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any criticisms you could give me that I can maybe do to improve this. But I think this is a good improvement from my last laybox, so I'm going to stick with it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to check that lower right-hand corner and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified with more updates when they are posted. Max says thank you. See you guys.